Yeah.
Next poem.
Next poem. Moving on. There's a few quite good Sappho poems in this book document that we now have open. On page 12, we have Artfully Adorned Aphrodite.
Artfully adorned Aphrodite, deathless child of Zeus and weaver of wiles, I beg you, please don't hurt me. Don't overcome my spirit, goddess, with longing. But come here, if ever at other moments, hearing these my words from afar, you listened and responded. Leaving your father's house all golden, you came then. Hitching up your chariot, lovely sparrows drew you quickly over the dark earth, whirling on fine beating wings from the heights of heaven down through the sky, and instantly arrived. And then, O my blessed goddess, with a smile on your deathless face, you asked me what the matter was this time, that I called you for this time. What I now most wanted to happen in my raving heart, whom this time should I persuade to lead you back again to her love? Who now, O Sappho, who wrongs you? If she flees you now, she will soon pursue you. If she won't accept what you give, she'll give it. If she doesn't love you, she'll love you soon now, even unwilling. Come to me again and release me from this want past bearing. All that my heart desires to happen, make it happen. And stand beside me, goddess, my ally.
As I was researching Sappho for our little biography, one of the pages I found said that Sappho seemed to have believed in the Greek belief that poetry is like magic. So this is one of the ones that they use as an example of her believing that. So the idea was that you could write things into reality, kind of like writing spells. So with this one, she's kind of like praying to Aphrodite, doing magic via Aphrodite through her work. And you can kind of see her writing about the things that she wants, hoping that they'll come true.
It's interesting because she's like, please don't make me fall in love with anybody. Just make other people fall in love with me that I want.
I also love the, who this time should I persuade you? Like, who wrongs you this time? Like, Aphrodite's a little annoyed by Sappho always needing things.
Like, please, enough with the yearning. Like,
It kind of also reads like a prayer, and stand beside me, goddess, my ally. So it is like praising Aphrodite and also asking.
I think we can see, again, like this directness, I beg if you don't hurt me with longing, but come to me again and release me from this want, which is past bearing. Like, I can't stand just wanting so much, just like make my dreams come true already.
well, and it feels like she's like, either I don't want to keep falling in love with all these people who don't love me back, or I want them to love me back. And either way is fine, but just like one of the two, the way that it's going right now kind of sucks. But like, it's interesting the way she describes, like, if Aphrodite comes and like gets people to love her back, it feels like this juxtaposition between either I'm in pursuit or I'm being pursued. There's not like a meeting in the middle where they're both pursuing each other and they're both like it doesn't feel like there's a like space there for just equal partnership, which may explain why there's like she has two speeds, either wanting or being wanted. It's like those are the two options.
I don't like, if she doesn't love you, she'll love you soon now, even unwillingly, or even unwilling.
Yeah, that's why love potions are unethical.
That's why.
Yeah.
It ignores consent.
Consent, yeah.
Hi, it's Valentine's Day. We love consent.
I mean, I think that truly Aphrodite as a concept, Aphrodite is stepping over consent. If you pray to Aphrodite for someone to love you, you are asking someone else to make another person love you. So it's like the concept of praying to Aphrodite is not consensual.
But if you think about, like, when we read the Iliad, the concept of the Greek gods could just like step in and light a fire in your breast, and all of a sudden you'd be filled with rage and could no longer be held responsible for your actions. Like the Greek gods in general, I mean, we don't even need to talk about Zeus, but like the Greek gods in general don't really have a strong concept of consent or free will. And so if that's your concept of the world and you don't think people have free will anyway, then it's like, well, the gods are going to mess with people's free will anyway. They might as well do it in a way that benefits me. When everybody thinks that, then everybody prays to Aphrodite. Aphrodite's all right, like, okay, you want this one, and you want this one, and you want this one, and then just like scrambles it up, and then nobody's still happy because then everybody's feelings have changed.
And it's such a weird thing to think about. Well, because obviously Aphrodite's not real. If you pray to Aphrodite and then this person that you love changes their mind or starts falling in love with you and pursues you, all that's happened is that they've changed their mind, or started falling in love with you and started pursuing you. But you are still praying for someone to do that purposefully.
There's still like a manifestation, like you're manifesting it.
Yeah.
Right.
Or trying to anyway.
Yeah, trying to, even if they don't know.
It's like the trope of when you can mind control people and then you mind control them into liking them, but it doesn't count because you mind control them so they don't actually like you.
I was thinking more like when you are about to text someone and then you get a text from them.
I was thinking of the element of like how much is she able to value it because she's just getting Aphrodite to do the work for her as opposed to like, I don't know,
just like trying to talk and be chill.
Yeah, it's like if you like somebody and you text your friend and you're like, hey, can you tell this person to text me? I like them. And then your friend texts them and then you're like, well, did they actually want to text me or did they just text me because my friend told them to?
Because I told my friend to ask them to.
This is like, if we take a different approach, so like, does it feel as satisfying if you get a job through a friend? Like if a friend recommends you to a job and then you get that job, and it's like, maybe not, like you didn't do it on your own volition, but also like them getting you an interview doesn't necessarily mean that you didn't do something good to get the job.
But, yeah, but that would be like if Aphrodite flew down and was like, hey, bestie, like, have you heard about Sappho? She's pretty great, huh? And then the person was like, oh, yeah, I've heard about Sappho. She seems good. Like, maybe I'll get to know her a little bit more, as opposed to like Aphrodite coming down and being like, you're in love.
Yeah, that's true.
But if we're going to think about, because like we've talked about this when we were talking about the Iliad of the gods being like primal emotional forces. So like if you're going, like you can abstract it and be like, I am wishing that like through whatever like time we spend together that this other person develops these like immense like all-consuming feelings of love that is associated with Aphrodite. So it's like that goes to the like, what word did you just use, Arian?
Oh shit, I don't know.
Manifesting is like manifesting those like emotions and feelings more than like expecting it to be actually against their will.
Yeah.
It's
hard to know because we don't know exactly how the Greeks saw religion. Like even now, like if you look at different sects of Christianity, like some take it quite literally and some take it as like a metaphor, you know, like the creator, you know, versus like a dude living in the clouds. Like people see it on a spectrum. So we don't, like, who knows how Sappho saw Aphrodite as like a literal person or as love incarnate or whatever, but it is definitely interesting.
And also the translation piece, like who knows what unwilling was translated from and like what other potential meanings that could have.
It is definitely a self-focused poem, right? So like, please make me stop hurting because I love this person. Solve my problem.
It's so self-aware too, right? Because she's like, I'm in love with this person now, and this is like one in a long line of people that I've been obsessed with, and like it's ruined my whole life. And I recognize that like in a month I'm going to be in love with somebody else, but like right now this pain is unbearable and I can't handle it. So please release me. Which is also really interesting compared to the last poem where she was like, this man, it literally doesn't matter who this man is, but you feel this way about man in general. And now she's like, my love interest doesn't really matter who it is. I feel the same way about them and I don't know what to do about it.
I think this like intense focus on emotions, even like the less pretty or appropriate emotions, is what made her so interesting and different than other poets at the time who were like, how cool was Achilles?
Hey, check out this dude's big muscles.
I mean, even like in the last one, just like the blood, the rage, whatever, the emotion spreading across my chest, like the nervousness, like it's very personal. And like this one, it's like, I feel like it's very relatable, this all-consuming like obsession over a person. Like again, I don't know how they would have seen this at the time, the unwilling, but right now it has like a tinge of yucky to it. And I feel like that's honest, like if that's how she's feeling, you know? And I feel like that's, as opposed to romanticizing that kind of like intense love, she's like being honest about how it feels and what she was thinking, which is really cool.
It really is like, but a lot of the emotions feel very intensely, like very intense and very intensely high school. Like,
yeah.
Do we know how old Sappho was, or how old she?
What age she wrote these poems?
Yeah, how old she was when she wrote these, and or how old she was before she died.
It says she died at 60. I did the math wrong. It seemed like she died at 100 and something, but no, she died at 60. And she actually supposedly killed herself by jumping off cliffs because of a love that didn't love her back. A boatman. So there was like this guy, it was over a guy that didn't love her back, and so she jumped off the cliffs and died. That is like mired in legend as well, so who knows what it was really about, but that's like the consensus. Let me see. We probably don't know too much. She was way more prolific than she looks. Like this is just the stuff that survived, you know, almost 3,000 years. But she had like so much poems, so much poems.
I get like big Sylvia Plath vibes off of Sappho.
Ooh. Yeah.
Wikipedia says Sappho probably wrote around 10,000 lines of poetry. Today, only 650 survive. So we don't even have 10% of her work.
That's wild.
I agree, though. It does feel a bit like emotionally immature. She definitely was controversial. She was like the son of a someone in government and was pretty well off and well known in the community, and also, you know, had sex with everybody that she could get her hands on. So she was very controversial in that way, and married later after all of that. So it does feel like a very like emotionally intense young adulthood that probably at least inspired all these poems. Even if she didn't write them while she was going through all of that, like she could have been writing about a past experience and emotions she remembers, which, you know, can be done. In the Roman period, critics found her lustful and perhaps even homosexual. Do you think?
Perhaps.
Perhaps.
Who's to say?
One cannot know.
That's kind of why I think I get the same vibe as Sylvia Plath, because even Sylvia Plath's like later writing feels very like adolescent, like some of the struggles of adolescence that were kind of fueled by mental health and trauma. And like, it makes me wonder kind of what things Sappho was struggling with outside of her poetry.
Yeah, I mean, certainly it's hard to be gay, you know, at pretty much any time in history, especially if you're in the public eye and getting more famous. Like your poems make you famous on one hand, your sexuality makes you famous in a much different and less fun way. And I'm sure that was not easy for her. Celebrity is always hard for people to deal with, it seems.
Was this island big? I'm picturing like a pretty small island, but also like it sounds like there's a lot of political strife.
Her poems spread really far beyond that. So
got off the island.
Yeah. Similar to the Iliad being like spoken aloud and performed, her poems were meant to be performed. So she would perform them, sometimes the lyre, and like sing them, and then they would travel from there. So like other bards would copy basically her work and then spread it elsewhere. Similar to Homer, it's like she did write them down, or someone wrote them down at some point and attributed them to her, but it's all sadly vague.